We're always seeing these images of what success is supposed to look like, right? The fancy car, the power suit, that nonstop hustle. But what if I told you that the most common signs of success are actually red flags? In this explainer, we're going to break down 9 behaviors that people use to look successful that might just reveal they're actually struggling.
So before we dive into the myths, I want you to ask yourself a question. Just take a second and really think, what does success actually mean to you? Is it a number in a bank account, a title on a business card, or is it something deeper? Go ahead and hold that thought. Society paints a pretty clear picture for us. On the left, you see the perception. All the luxury stuff, a calendar that's packed to the brim, designer logos everywhere. But the reality for genuinely successful people, well, that often looks a lot more like what's on the right. Financial stability without all the flash, actual peace of mind, and a sense of personal fulfillment. That huge gap between perception and reality, that's exactly what we're going to explore. All right, let's kick things off with the most obvious signs. The ones that are all about what other people see. These are the things we use to project an image of success, whether it's the real deal or not.
First up, and this is a big one, expensive stuff. It's this belief that a luxury car, a designer watch, or the latest gadget is a direct measurement of your success. We see it all over social media, and it's so easy to think that if someone has these things, they must have it all figured out.
But here's the thing, and this is so important. Anyone can buy a designer bag on credit. A lot of the time, these flashy items are just a smokescreen, a sign that someone is living way beyond their means to keep up with the Joneses. True success is usually quiet. It's about financial stability, not showing off. Okay, next on the list is something I'm sure we've all seen. The person who wears their busyness like a badge of honor. Their schedule is always a disaster, they're constantly rushing around, and they make sure everyone knows it, as if being the busiest person in the room automatically makes them the most important one.
But we have to stop and ask this question. Is all that busyness actual productivity, or is it just motion? Being on the go 24/7 is often a sign of really poor time management, not being able to prioritize, or even worse, using work to distract from other problems. Genuinely successful people? They work smarter, not just harder. They care about results, not how much effort it looked like they put in.
Oh, and this one? This is a classic from the Hustle Culture Handbook. The idea that skipping your vacation time makes you look like the most dedicated person on the team. You're the one holding down the fort while everyone else is away. That has to be success, right?
Yeah, not so much. In reality, never taking a break can signal some pretty serious struggles. It might mean you can't delegate anything, that you have to micromanage. It could even reveal a deep fear that if you leave, people will realize you're not as essential as you think. Or, and this is the most common one, it just means you're on a bullet train to burnout. Successful people know that rest is absolutely crucial for creativity and long-term performance.
Okay, so we've covered the external signs, the stuff on the outside. Now let's go a little deeper and look at the internal ones, the mindset traps that can look a whole lot like ambition on the surface, but are actually holding you back.
Let's talk about what I call shiny object syndrome. This is the person who's always hopping from one project to one idea to the next big venture. On the surface, it really does look like they're a go-getter, just full of ambition and great new ideas.
But when you actually compare these behaviors, a totally different picture starts to form. This constant chase for something new is often rooted in a lack of patience or even a fear of commitment. It's a struggle to stick with one thing long enough to see real results. True success, on the other hand, is almost always built on consistency, persistence, and dedicating yourself to a goal for the long haul.
Ah, yes, the serial networker. You know the type. The person who's at every single event, collects a huge stack of business cards, and has thousands of connections on LinkedIn. The assumption is that a bigger network automatically equals more success and more opportunities.
But here's the reality. A massive number of superficial contacts often holds very little actual value. Genuinely successful people don't focus on the number of connections. They focus on building and nurturing a few strong, meaningful relationships that are mutually beneficial. It's all about quality, not quantity.
You know, we're kind of taught to always put on a brave face. Success gets equated with strength, and strength gets equated with never, ever showing any sign of weakness, doubt, or struggle. The successful person is supposed to have everything under control all the time.
But hiding your struggles to keep up a perfect facade isn't strength. It's just a defense mechanism. Real success involves having the courage to be vulnerable, to ask for help when you need it,
and to admit when you've made a mistake and learn from it. That's where all the real growth happens.
And that brings us to our final section, where we're going to look at the myths that come with a really high personal cost. These are the behaviors that don't just signal that you're struggling, they actively hurt your well-being.
I think we've all been in a meeting with this person. The one who has to have an answer for absolutely everything, who speaks with total certainty even when you can tell they're not so sure. They do this because they think it projects an image of competence and leadership.
But there is a massive difference between bravado and real confidence. See, bravado is just a performance. It's a show you put on because you're terrified of looking inadequate. Real confidence is quiet. It comes from knowing your stuff, but also having the humility to admit what you don't know. Now that's the sign of a true expert.
Okay, this next one might be one of the most toxic myths out there. The idea that to be successful, you have to sacrifice your own well-being. You pull all-nighters, you skip meals, you basically run on caffeine and fumes. But this self-neglect, which gets framed as dedication, isn't the price of success. It's the fast track to total burnout. Truly successful people know that to perform well long-term, you have to rest.
And our final myth is a trap that is so easy to fall into, constantly measuring our own success against other people. We look at what our colleagues or competitors are up to, and we use their achievements as the measuring stick for our own. You might even tell yourself, hey, this just keeps me ambitious. But in truth, it's a symptom of insecurity, and it shifts your focus away from your own progress and onto someone else's highlight reel.
So let's just be crystal clear about the real cost of these last two behaviors. When you neglect your self-care, you are not hustling towards success, you are spiraling towards burnout. When you're constantly comparing yourself to others, you're just fueling insecurity, not ambition. The bottom line is this: true success is measured by your own progress on your own path. It has nothing to do with outdoing somebody else.
So, after all that, you might be thinking, well, what's the alternative? The path to authentic success actually starts with a big shift in perspective. It involves setting goals that are meaningful to you, not what you think society expects. It means making your physical and mental well-being a non-negotiable priority. It's about focusing on your own progress, and most importantly, defining what success actually looks and feels like, on your own terms.
And that brings us right back to the beginning. As you think about all these points, I want to leave you with this final, powerful question. Look at your own habits, your own mindset. Are you building a life of genuine success, or are you just building a facade? The answer, well, it could change everything.